The car everyone wanted. David was 28 years old when he bought the nicest vehicle he had ever owned. The dealership was bright, the salesman was friendly, and the new SUV looked perfect sitting under the showroom lights. The payment would be $767 every month. David hesitated for a moment, but the salesman explained that this was close to the average payment many Americans were already making. David signed the paperwork and drove away feeling successful. For the first few weeks he loved the vehicle. He washed it every weekend, parked it where everyone could see it, and proudly showed it to friends. But after a few months, the excitement faded. The SUV became ordinary. It simply took him to work, to the grocery store, and back home. One evening David wondered how much time he actually spent inside the vehicle. When he looked into it, he learned that privately owned vehicles spend roughly 95% of their time parked. Most cars move only about an hour a day. Suddenly, he realized he was spending hundreds of dollars every month on something that mostly sat still. That thought stayed in his mind longer than he expected. A different way to think. A few months later David met an older coworker named Robert. Robert drove a 10-year-old sedan with over 150,000 miles on it. The paint was faded, the seats were worn, and nobody looked twice at it. Yet Robert always seemed calm about money. One day David asked him why he never upgraded his vehicle. Robert smiled and said, "Because every dollar I don't spend on a car is a dollar working for me." He showed David a simple investment calculator. If someone invested $767 every month instead of spending it on a car payment and earned an average 10% annual return, that money could grow dramatically over time. David was shocked. The numbers looked unreal. Robert explained that wealthy people often focus on assets that grow in value while cars generally lose value over time. The moment a new vehicle leaves the lot, it begins depreciating. Meanwhile, invested money can compound year after year. David started wondering whether his expensive vehicle was helping him look wealthy while actually slowing down his ability to become wealthy. The power of compounding. That night David ran the numbers himself. If he invested $767 every month for 30 years at an average 10% annual return, he could potentially accumulate well over $1.5 million. Even investing the average used car payment of $537 per month could potentially grow to over $1 million during the same period. He could hardly believe it. The same monthly payment that disappeared into a vehicle loan could instead become a retirement fund. David imagined two futures. In the first future, he upgraded vehicles every few years, always keeping a payment. In the second future, he drove reliable used vehicles, avoided unnecessary debt, and invested the difference every month. The first future looked impressive in the present but ordinary in retirement. The second future looked ordinary in the present but extraordinary in retirement. For the first time, David understood why so many financially successful people drove older vehicles. They weren't trying to look rich. They were trying to become rich. The decision. Over the next year David paid close attention to the people around him. He noticed something surprising. Many people with expensive vehicles seemed stressed about money. They worried about monthly payments, insurance, repairs, and rising living costs. Meanwhile, several financially secure people drove modest vehicles. They focused less on appearances and more on cash flow. Eventually David sold his SUV and purchased a reliable used car. His friends thought he was crazy. Some even joked that he had downgraded his life. But David knew something they didn't. Every month he automated an investment contribution equal to the difference between his old payment and his new transportation cost. At first the investment account looked small. Then it started growing faster. The gains produced gains of their own. Compound interest began doing what it does best, rewarding patience. Years later David cared far less about what people thought of his car and far more about what his investments were becoming. The retirement surprise. 30 years passed. David was approaching retirement. Many of his friends still carried payments on newer vehicles. Some had upgraded repeatedly for decades. Others had borrowed longer and longer just to keep monthly payments manageable. David's investment account, however, had reached a level he once thought was impossible. The monthly car payment he redirected years earlier had grown into financial freedom. He wasn't wealthy because of a lottery ticket, a lucky stock pick, or a get-rich-quick scheme. He became wealthy because he consistently invested money that others spent on depreciating assets. Looking back, David realized the biggest lesson wasn't about cars at all. It was about opportunity cost. Every dollar spent today has an invisible future value. The average car payment may seem normal, but when invested over decades, it can become life-changing. The next time someone tells you they have a $700 or $800 monthly vehicle payment, ask yourself one question: what could that money become if it were invested instead? For David, the answer was financial independence.